Okay, I'm joined by Richard Shaw, or AKA Shaky. He's over in Edmonton, Canada, getting ready for his son Jack, who's just about to fight. Is I think eighth, ninth UFC appearance this weekend, Rich.
Ninth, I think. Yeah, ninth appearance.
Yeah, he's starting to become
Ninth
a part of
appearance.
the furniture over there, and he's facing Yusuf Zalal this weekend. How have preparations for the fight been going?
Yeah, it's gone well, mate. It's a bit of a short camp because we only had the opponent 4 weeks ago. Um, we were scheduled to fight someone else, but that fell through. Um, but yeah, camp's gone well. We're fully aware of what Zalal brings to the table. Good all rounder, good striker. Five win streak, I believe. A lot of finishes by submission, but I think predominantly he's a really good striker coming from Factory X. But no, I think they both match up well. I think it's a good 50-50 fight for us.
Yeah, he's an interesting fighter, Zalal, and like you said, even though he's got those submissions on his record, he looks very, very dangerous on the feet.
Yeah,
He's, he's quick, he's dynamic, and he's got a really good, well-rounded skill set. He did have a kind of a difficult time first time round in his UFC career, and then maybe went out of the promotion. And like you mentioned there, he's gone on a hell of a winning streak since. A lot of finishes too, so he's definitely going to present some problems this weekend. How do you see the opponent overall?
yeah. You know, uh, when I compare the skill sets, I think they're both evenly on the feet. But I think we got the pinch on him with the wrestling, the grappling, and you know, I think Jack's a little bit uh, underestimated sometimes how good his wrestling is. So I think he'll definitely be there for the beating. If Jack can settle in early and start putting a bit of pressure on him and get his wrestling game going.
Yeah, and obviously speaking of Jack, I mean, the last time out, you guys were in Rio earlier in the year for UFC 301 and
Yeah,
faced Joanderson Brito, and it was an unfortunate ending to the fight, wasn't there? When that low calf kick kind of kind of sort of half checked it, and it caused the cut, and then the fight was stopped with the cut. I mean, yeah, he was only back from I think it was a hand injury he had, and he was off for quite a while before that fight. So a
yeah.
little bit frustrating, I think, for a fight to be stopped, for a cut like that.
You know, I said this to everybody in previous interviews. Name me another occasion in MMA history where a fight has been stopped mid round due to a catch in. I can't ever remember it, mate. But then again, you're fighting a Brazilian in Brazil with a Brazilian referee and a Brazilian commission and a Brazilian doctor. Um, you know, we are fully aware we were behind in the fight, but come on, stopping a fight over a catch shin. The catchman was losing his mind on the side. He's screaming at the referee, "Do not stop this fight! I can patch that up at the end of the round." And Jack's walking fine on the foot. And when we were arguing with the referee, and the doctor's going, "Oh no, no, fracture, fracture," and Jack's stomping his foot on the floor, saying, "But it's not fracture. Like throw my weight on it. I've just thrown a kick. It's from a check." And they stopped there and they put us in an ambulance pool. They took us to hospital, and um, we were in and out like within about 30 minutes. X-ray, no fracture, 4 stitches, and back to the hotel. So ridiculous stoppage. But I do think it set a fire under Jack with regard to putting on a bit of a statement performance this time round.
Yeah, and like I mentioned there before the Brito fight, he'd been off for an extended period, so
Yeah,
presumably he was
he had
he
a
was pretty quick to jump
nasty,
at the chance here.
yeah, he had a nasty hand injury at the time, so he had an operation. It needed like 6 months of rehab. So I think it was like 14 months between fights, and frustrating really to go out there and they threw us in with Brito, who's a big physical, powerful, fighter, good, well-rounded lad. I'm just disappointed on how it was stopped. We should have, we were halfway through the second round. We're only midway through the fight. We could see the lad was getting tired. He defaulted to resting, which he always does once he starts getting exhausted. And one thing how Jack doesn't lack is cardio. He can go for days. So it is what it is, mate. You can cry over spilled milk. The commission, when I sent a letter off, voicing my concerns, typical generic response of the doctor thought it was fractured and we support his decision. Load of nonsense. But I would that fight have been stopped mid round if the cut was on Brito Shin in Rio de Janeiro? I very much doubt it.
Yeah, a really frustrating one there. And I'm
Yeah,
assuming Jack is dying to get back in there this weekend.
yeah, he's been busting. He's had a, I know it's cliche, but he's had a really, really good camp. No injuries. He's looking strong. You know, we've we've trained specifically for certain areas where Brito's very good. Well, not Brito, sorry, Azar is very good. So yeah, we were prepared. You know us. We turn up, we fight. We've never turned a fight down in all his career. And when this one presented to us 4 weeks ago, we grabbed it with both hands, and we see how the cards fall on Saturday, buddy.
And interestingly, now this is his third one at featherweight. I mean, he went unbeaten in his first 16 pro fights, I think it was. And a really good start to his UFC career. Suffered that first defeat, and I think it was after that first defeat you guys decided to move to featherweight, and as I said, we're now
Yeah.
into the third one. What prompted the decision to change weight classes?
We should have changed 3 fights previously, mate. It was horrific. I mean, he was close to dying several times. We nearly had the fight pulled by doctors due to his blood pressure, dehydration levels. Where he's a stubborn, single-minded old bugger, he would just keep going until he made that weight. And you've said it yourself in lots of interviews where it's easy to forget how horrific the weight cut was and the camp was when you keep winning. So I think like after the Simone loss, I've said, well, I can't keep doing it because I do believe the weight cut for that fight impacted on his performance. Um, and we've started, we went off and we done these DEXA scans. We had a proper medical input as to what weight he should be fighting, and we were told, under no uncertain terms, he's big for featherweight, let alone bantamweight, and sooner or later, he's kept in that weight to make 135. He was going to have a kidney failure or even worse. So I think the loss was necessary for him to have that realization that he'd outgrown the weight. So when he was doing it in his early days, he was 24, 25. He's 29-year-old man now, and the body just develops the older you get. So it's been a good move for him. The camp now, he's a lot more about him improving his skill set, getting in the sparring rounds, polishing up different areas of the game. Whereas probably for the past 4 years, fight camp has been like running 3 times a day, running before sparring, running in the morning first thing 10K, just constantly lack of calories intake. It was all about cutting our weight. But no, it's been a good move for him, and I think he'll shock a few people Saturday when you see how he performs.
Yeah, I presume then having something like an opportunity to fight on a card like this 4 weeks out from the fight date, the fact that he doesn't have to go down to 135 makes it so much easier to jump all
Yeah,
over chances like this.
yeah, yeah. Everything's much better. It's not just a camp. I mean, fight week, he's much more relaxed. When he's fighting a bantam, he'd be like a hermit stuck in the room for the 5 days we were out here. And, he's out now. We're having to wander around. We'll pop to a coffee shop and have a drink. Um, as you said, we can take these fights at 4 weeks' notice. At featherweight, at bantamweight, we would need a minimum of 12 weeks every single time.
Yeah, I mean, I look at like Kayla Harrison there, and she looked like she really struggled to make bantamweight there
Yeah,
on her last appearance, and you're looking at her and thinking, how many times per year, and
I mean,
particularly
yeah,
given her age too, how many times is she going to make that championship weight every year?
agree, mate. I think every fighter's only got X amount of weight cuts in them. You know what I mean? It takes its toll every single time, and like I said, he's much healthier mentally and physically fighting at this weight. And I've seen, when he beat Makwan, the internet blew up and said, "Oh, what a move! It's a perfect move for him." And then after a loss, which was a bullshit loss against Brito, oh, he's undersized for the weight. You know what the internet's like, but we've interacted with quite a lot of fighters at this level in the featherweight division, and Jack's not outsized at all. It's the right division for him.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned there, the loss, and there's obviously context that people just don't take into account when it comes to things like this. But obviously, having won his first 16, and now the black and white of it is that he's lost two of the last three. Without looking at the aforementioned context, does that sort of add a little bit of extra pressure onto Jack's shoulders going into this one this weekend?
Yeah, there's definitely pressure. It's his last fight on the contract as well. Um, so we're going in there with a good performance being necessary. and then we'll look at where we go then next. But yeah, there's a lot of listen. He's been fighting with pressure all his life. He was fighting for world titles with Cage Warriors at 23, 24 years of age. So in front of 4,000 people in his hometown of Wales. So he knows how to deal with pressure. He's a relaxed kid. He's been doing this a long time, Paul. He's been training martial arts and competing since, I think he started competing around 12 years of age. So, he takes everything in step. He's quite a level-headed guy. And, there is a bit of added pressure, but I think I feel it more than what he does.
Yeah, it's got to be that little bit of extra thing to carry on your shoulders going into the fight. But as you mentioned, that experience of having contested for titles and those 5 round fights and things like that, it's definitely got to stand to you going into these.
Yeah, definitely, mate. So we're ready. There'll be no excuses off us on the night. He's fit, he's strong. He's had no injuries this camp, which has been one of the first times in years where we've not had a niggle of some sort. So yeah, we'll be there. We'll be ready. Weight cuts in the morning. Let's get that done. Get him on the scales, and then we can enjoy the next couple of days.
And speaking of enjoying yourself, you're in Canada now. You were in Rio a few months ago. You're back out in Madison Square Garden in a couple of weeks with Oban.
Yeah.
How is the Welsh gangster looking these days?
Yeah, he's good, and he's on a good run. He's got a good bit of traction behind him. I mean, the UFC have stuck in. This will be his third fight in the UFC and third number card. So he's appreciative of it. He doesn't take it for granted. Again, he's fit, he's strong. We're 2 weeks out for Oban, and it's a good matchup for Oban as well. It's a tough fight. The kid has gone and lost a split decision to Jack Maddalena, who's, for me, is like a top 5 fighter in the division. So we're under no illusions. We got a tough fight Saturday and a tough fight a fortnight. But for a small little gym in Wales, mate, I think we're more capable of coming out at the end of that with 2 wins.
Yeah, I mean, pound for pound, you guys are definitely swinging as hard as anybody out there. You mentioned Oban
Yeah,
getting, his fights have been on the undercard of some big pay-per-views, 2 UFC fights. I think obviously after him, making such waves during his appearance on the Dana White Contender Series, I think his story just kind of resonated with a lot of fans and media, and he made headlines, and just his
yeah,
personality shone through. I think the UFC have maybe latched onto that a little bit. Would I be right? And it's very clear that, in comparison to Jack, who's kind of just been, plying getting his business done quietly but effectively, Oban has sort of been thrust into this almost spotlight, but he looks like he's relishing it.
he's a promoter's dream, and you put a microphone in his hand, and he's as good as anybody in the world. And that's shown. I mean, the WWE, they flew him out to Berlin a couple of weeks ago, and he met Triple H and spoke to the backroom scene there. And I can see Owen having a really good career in the UFC, but when he retires, then probably moving over to WWE now that under the same umbrella and the TKO. So yeah, no, he's great, and he's enjoying it. He's like a kid at Christmas. Owen, it's a lifelong dream come true for him, and he's relishing every moment of it. So great for him, I think. Absolutely brilliant.
And you mentioned a promoter's dream there. You've been sort of dipping your hand in promoting over the last couple of years. How has the Samurai Fighting Championships journey been?
Brilliant, mate. I mean, we were Pain Pit, then Cage Warriors Wales, and now we're Samurai. I think we're on like our 40th event now. And if you look at the caliber of fighters that's come through our events, Oban, Jack, Mason Jones, there's numerous fighters that fought on our cards, have gone on to UFC, Bellator, Cage Warriors champions. So the SFC, I'm not saying it because we run it, it's run as professional as any big event. And it's a fantastic platform for young fighters to get noticed and get picked up at those, bigger events, your PFLs, your Cage Warriors, your UFCs.
Deadly. It's really good. Yeah, it's really good to see a breakthrough of Welsh fighters. I mean, the two guys, Jack and Oban, kind of spearheading the charge at the moment, but obviously you think there's going to be some more to come behind them?
Oh, 100%. We got a proper conveyor belt in the gym. I pride myself on the fact that when I built this club originally, it was with a mindset of like a top tier rugby or football team, where we'd have like the children's program, then your amateur program, and then your professional program. And year on year, there's more and more talent coming through. And we've got a stable full of amateurs who I think, in the next 3 or 4 years, will be fighting, on top, for top level fights, whether that be a world title on Cage Warriors or PFL or UFC. I think you'll see a few more guys coming through over the next 3-4 years.
Awesome. Looking forward to seeing that. So, listen, best of luck this weekend. Hope it all goes well. And again, in 2 weeks, if I'm not speaking to you before then, big shout out to Jack and Oban. Big fights for the two guys. Hope everything goes swimmingly. Thanks so much for your time, Shaky. I really appreciate you.
No, thanks, Paul, for having us on, buddy. No problem at all, mate. Thanks for your time, buddy.
Cheers, brother. Take care.
Take care, bud. Salam, mate.